Welcome to Increased Cost of Compliance, ICC and Mitigation, presented by the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, Division of Water. FRED is the acronym used for various mitigation measures available to bring damaged properties into compliance with local floodplain management ordinance. Communities and property owners may use the measures in combination with ICC funds to mitigate structures in their special flood hazard areas. They may also use a combination of the measures to receive the maximum amount available under ICC, such as demolition and reconstruction of a structure. The FEMA 301 is the guidance for state and local officials for ICC. The cover photo on the manual is a home that was damaged and elevated prior to Hurricane Katrina, and one of the first in the nation to use ICC funds. During Katrina, the only loss was the staircase coming off the front of the home. ICC may be referred to as Coverage D on a standard flood insurance policy. It is an additional coverage to bring non-compliant existing structures into compliance with local ordinance when they are flood damaged. There is currently a $30,000 limit to the coverage, and the total claim payout cannot exceed $250,000 for residential properties or $500,000 for non-residential properties. To qualify for ICC, the structure must be either substantially damaged or be a repetitive loss structure, where losses exceed 50%. For repetitive loss to be approved, it must be in the community's ordinance, which is a voluntary provision. Repetitive loss is a home or business that has been damaged by flood 2 times in the past 10 years, where the cost of repairing the flood damage on average equals or exceeds 25% of its market value at the time of each flood. ICC funds can be used in conjunction with other insurance benefits, disaster and mitigation assistance grants, and low-interest SBA loans to achieve compliance with local ordinance. The one catch for ICC funds is the project must be completed within 6 years of the date of loss. Everyone plays a key role in the ICC process. The policyholder must file the claim and must be diligent. The initial flood claim must be filed within 60 days of the date of the event that caused the damage. The floodplain administrator must do the substantial damage determination, document it properly, approve plans to repair, reconstruct that are compliant, inspect the structure, issue permits, and certificate of occupancy properly and timely. The claims adjuster must review, approve the claim, see that payment is made, typically one half initially and the other half when the work is complete and verified or documented. The initial payment will depend upon the submittal of the damage determination, a permit for the mitigation activity, signed contract to complete the mitigation measures, and an approximate completion date for the mitigation measures. We have seen the ICC funds be distributed as a reimbursement after the work was completed when all documentation was not submitted. This only increases the burden on the property owners when trying to recover from a flood. When ensuring compliance, you will want to pay close attention to the use of or mitigation of any materials that are not flood damage resistant materials below the flood protection grade. There are maybe other materials used for a portion of the structure for improvements completed prior to various code adoption by your community that do not meet the requirements of your current code or the NFIP that may need to be addressed. You may also want to look at existing footings to ensure they will support any new or additional loads that will be added. Keep in mind that everything must be properly documented and completed within 6 years of the damage event. Substantially damaged home where the existing home was removed and a new modular home was installed on an extended foundation. The property owner chose to elevate above the flood protection grade in order to have parking and storage beneath the new home. The property owner was required to pay for the portion of the foundation above the flood protection grade. You'll notice the flood vents near grade and the air vents near the top of the foundation. Also notice the elevated gas and electrical meters. Another ICC elevation and one in process where you can see the cribbing and beams. Pretty amazing that they can do this with brick homes. The nearly finished look of the using the lower level for garage space. Conversions are another option when using ICC to achieve compliance for a structure. So what is a conversion? A conversion is accomplished by abandoning the lower enclosed area, making it non-habitable if the enclosed area is raised above the ground level by foundation walls, shear walls, posts, piers, pilings, or columns. The roof and roof framing are removed, and a new second story is constructed on top of the lower level. When doing a conversion, one must consider things such as cost, final appearance, the strength of the existing foundation, and the need to address other natural hazards. Once the reconstruction is complete, it must meet the standard flood insurance policy definition of an elevated building and the requirements of the local floodplain and ordinance. The policyholder is also required to submit a certification statement from a registered design professional to certify under seal that the structural design, plan, specification, and method of construction are in accordance with the accepted standards of practice, in addition to meeting or exceeding the minimum floodplain management requirements of the NFIP and building codes. Information on conversions can be found in the NFIP Claims Manual and in FEMA's P312 publication, Homeowner's Guide to Retrofitting. Remember Fred from earlier, flood-proof, non-residential only, relocate, elevate, and demolish? The former pre-disaster mitigation grant program has now been rolled into Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities program, which increases funding opportunities and eligible projects that funds may be used for. The Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, the Disaster Mitigation Grant Program, and Flood Mitigation Assistance are all sources of possible funding for mitigation activities. Most grants are 75% federal funds and 25% local match. As mentioned earlier, you can use ICC funds as part of the local match in some cases. Here are a couple of examples of mitigation resource. The cover of on the left shows an elevated home in Michigan that was elevated about 5 feet using flood mitigation assistance funds. 75% were federal funds. The community and the property owner each paid 12.5%. The wraparound porch and deck were added at the owner's expense for overall aesthetics of the site. In this case, the basement was filled and foundation walls extended, leaving an above grade crawl space with proper vents. The publication on the right shows examples of and provides guidance for multifamily buildings with at grade parking below the structures shown on the cover. The cover photo on the lower left shows residents being evacuated during Hurricane Harvey in Houston, Texas. Other publications are available as well, and you can contact the SHMO or visit the IDHS website for more information. After flooding in 2003, this nursing home was finally mitigated in 2020 as part of a FY 2017 PDM grant application. This mitigation has eliminated the need for placement of 66,000 plus sandbags, mutual aid of many area fire departments, and evacuation relocation of the building occupants during a flood event. This also demonstrates that mitigation measures often take several years to complete. This project was initially denied by FEMA, but was challenged by local organizations and eventually approved. Another view of the structure during the 2003 flood event. The facility incurred about $500,000 in damages. All costs had to be absorbed by the owner since they did not have flood insurance. They did not have flood insurance because the structure was not in the map floodplain at the time of the flood. Under Section 1206 of the Disaster Recovery Reform Act, there is funding available through the public assistance portion. There may be funding available for building code administration and enforcement, floodplain ordinance administration and enforcement, and substantial damage determinations or assessments. You may be eligible for reimbursement of these expenses if the services are contracted out or if your community paid to train staff in these areas and the event gets a federal declaration for public assistance. Mitigation measures are handled through the Indiana Department of Homeland Security by the Response and Recovery Division. We have their contact information shown here. Thank you for watching ICC and Mitigation.